speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
You're going to need to do like an intro again since we're only talking.
Well, you could just start the conversation, Daniel. Save me coming up with an intro.
We did used to. What was the intro? Like, welcome along, morons, or something like that. Hello, fellow morons.
I don't know. I absolutely wing it 100% of the time. Well, Sean's just left, so let's get that could be the talking point today. Sean's fucked off already on a movie that's his choice.
He should be leaving through embarrassment of picking this fucking film that we're about to talk about.
Well, it's just a walk. He's just asked to not go first, and he's just left.
Can I not go first? Because I'm not taking part, guys, because this film is that fucking dreadful. But welcome in, guys, for those that are listening. The film we are talking about so highly right now is Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. The sequel to a movie that we have reviewed previously, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
And how did that go last time when we reviewed this movie?
It was a mixed bag.
Uh-huh.
I hated it. Fucking, it was one of the very first movies we've done in this that I hated was Knives Out. And a sequel to a shit film. I did say that these two films we're about to watch was going to make Sean quit, and it looks like he actually has.
He's quit 30 seconds into the recording of this one.
Do you know where it was in the leaderboard, Kyle? After you sent it a leaderboard last week, and then it had all these foreign films that you couldn't understand what their names were.
That was Daniel's job to fix that.
I didn't try to look at them all. I've just not updated the spreadsheet yet.
But Knives Out, where we first reviewed that movie, it is 144th on our leaderboard, rated 1.8 by the Morons. But we do have Sean back with us now. Sean, we thought you were just gone forever there.
No, sorry, this my Skype shut down.
Oh.
We get it back home.
Happy days. Well, we're just about to start talking about your choice of your movie, mate. This is the famed Southern detective Benoit Blanc travels to Greece for his latest case. Had anybody seen this before?
No.
No, I think it was. Remember, I think we discussed maybe watching it when it came out, but it was then left. I think because of how the first one was received by all, and then obviously the chance was when we had one, it was Sean was like, let's get one it's a full up. I think it might even been Sean that picked Knives Out when we done that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh. Right, okay. I thought Bob picked the first one.
What?
Burnsy's not getting the blame for that one. He can get the blame for other films that he picks, but Sean's getting the blame for both of these. But Hunter, let's come to you first of all to talk about this Oscar-nominated movie.
I would imagine there was air quotes around Oscar-nominated for this.
Nominated for one Oscar. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Right. I seem to remember when we done the first one, it wasn't as awful as I remembered it. I think my main gripe with it was Daniel Craig's accent and performance in the first one. He seemed to came to this one. That didn't even irritate me like in the slightest because the rest of it, I just didn't enjoy it at all. Right, as a concept, as a I'd seen obviously the way it's described as what is a dark comedy, and I'd seen neither of the two above. I mean, I'm totally going in on it. I didn't detest every single second I watched it, but I just thought the storyline and plot just didn't seem to make sense. In the first one, there was a bit of intrigue. It kind of ironically had more layers to it when it was not entitled Glass Onion, is what this one did, but obviously, with this one, he's came in, he's known the whole thing. There's no mystery to solve. There was no nothing. It was just, he knew the answer already from start to finish. And then it was just, everything else just sort of seemed to get lost in amongst all this, and I just felt plotless. I just felt that obviously, although all of us might not have agreed with the first one, some people obviously did. Some people obviously have enjoyed the first one more than some of us did. That there was a clamour or whatever for a second one, and I don't know if it was just a rush job or whatever, but I did not listen. There was no straight line start to finish. It was just seemed like a very, very much rushed sequel, and that's why when you give me the category for best adapted screenplay for which it's received an Oscar nomination for, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I was going to ask, Hunter, when you said earlier about how Daniel Craig knew what it was going in, but he didn't know who had killed, obviously, the woman. Which, so to me, like, there was like still a bit of mystery about it.
Well, obviously, the whole murder mystery, obviously, I think it came out that whoever he had to write the thing, he got told about. But he must have had an inkling of some variety that, for me, it didn't seem that there was only ever one real suspect throughout the whole thing. There was, I know they kind of alluded to other people had gripes, but there was only ever. At one point, during the first one, there was a couple of times you're maybe second guessing who it might have was, who it wasn't. With this one, I don't think there was any real doubt or any other person's claim had any clout to.
Yeah.
It may have been them. It was always just the standout Edward Norton, and even then, on top of that, like you've got somebody who I thought was, considering for the films that we've watched them in, being Fight Club and Birdman, very well respected, and then I see him in this, and then I now see he's signed up for Wes Anderson's next pile of shite. He's gone right down in my estimations.
I think when you're saying about how you only saw one suspect, I don't know if that's because obviously you have watched a lot more films than me. It's like I didn't really pick up on it being a really obvious conclusion, whereas I was kind of like still unsure. Like, obviously, the further it gets into it, you do sort of start putting it together. But then for me, it wasn't as obvious as what you are making out. Or Hunter, but I think obviously Daniel and Kyle agree with it. That's the vibe.
I definitely agree in this one. So I think what Hunter was, one of the things, the reasons it might be the same for you, Hunter, was that in the first one, it did the annoying thing of trying to make it the least obvious person.
Yes.
So at this time, it just was the obvious person for the start. And just to add to that point, it all sort of centered around early on how he gave Dave Bautista the drink. Mm. And they assumed that the audience wasn't going to see that. But I noticed it the very first time. Like the very first time it happened. Then they show you a flashback and it's different. And they expect the audience not to notice it. But that's really early on. So you know that he murdered Bautista. Like,
see, I didn't spot that, so I'm also cool.
So
I'm the target audience, basically.
You are the target audience, like gullible fools.
I mean, it's very much targeted at a Netflix and chill audience, and it's definitely, I'd imagine, a lot more chilling and a lot less Netflix is what was happening by the time this film was finished.
I watched this with Bonzi.
I do have one question though, right? Because one thing didn't add up. So the twin, she was a twin sister, the secret twin sister, right? Mm-hmm. And they went all the way there, and when she got shot, did she have like a bulletproof type vest type?
No, it was that the notebook was in her pocket.
Saved her, right? So my big question is, right, if he's taken her there, risking her life, and just by chance that she's had a notebook there, if you take all that into account, how big is Bautista's dick?
Oh my! You've been planning that one for a while, haven't you, Daniel?
I thought that's where he was going with the start, and then he changed, and I was like,
as soon as he added a couple layers to the questions, like, I know how this is finishing.
It threw me off the scent well there.
I did think about that whole thing, Daniel, when he was like kicking about the pool in his wee tiny hot pants or his wee shorts, with his big gun, and they kept talking about his sizable weapon.
For that moment, I've been excited to make that joke on that.
We'll clip that one for you.
You were upset at me that I made the joke in our chat before it.
You stole my thunder.
Bad thing got on about it, to be fair. So you got your moment to shine.
But in all seriousness, right, this is an awful fucking movie. Like, this is like bottom layer of shite movie. Right? See if this was like a straight to Channel 5 afternoon film with like Z-list actors you'd never heard of, with the exact same script, like you wouldn't be surprised. The only thing that this has got going for it is big name actors. It's got nothing else going for it. It's a really stupid, convoluted plot. Like I said, I noticed the zinc switch like at the start, so you knew that he'd murdered Bautista, and they spent the whole time trying to make you think it could be someone else. Like, it was obviously him for the start, and like, see the fact that he turns up, the detective turns up, and he wasn't invited.
I know, and no one else is batted an eyelid.
Aye, in you come, mate. Aye, like, this is fine. I've recently murdered somebody, but it doesn't matter. Like,
It's not even that. You've got to remember, like, the only other kind of gripe I had with this as well, obviously, I don't know if it was like a making light of COVID or whatever else, but obviously they've kind of, at the start, they've made the point of saying that this was set in May 2020, and then they've had some sort of fucking magical fucking, like, you've got to, as we've just been discussing in a group chat about, like, what we were going through at the start of that lockdown not long ago, and they've just, like, I mean, they're just kind of, like, how, just to be entitlement thing, that was like, just kind of a wee personal gripe for me, but there was no fun times to be had in the middle of May fucking 2020.
Just on that bit, like, talking about the big actors that they got into this, they got Ethan Hawke in to do that 30-second part of spraying shit into their mouth that solves COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why? It could be anybody.
Oh. It is a bit tone deaf, actually. I never thought about it until Hunter said it, but like, the whole world, how many folk died and all that, and for some reason they're going back to that time. Well, I don't know why we want to be reminded about what it was like to have COVID. And
but even that, like, it didn't add anything to the story at all. Like, if that film was set a year after that point in time, there was no. The fact that it was started in May 2020 had no context to the rest of the story.
It was weird. It's so strange. Sorry, Burnsy.
No, I just took it as Edward Norton's character was just, when you were saying about how it's like there's this detective coming, he obviously gave the impression as if it was this big man, he nobody could, he was untouchable basically. So I was just taking it as that he just thought that maybe somebody had, did they know sort of hint that he thought that maybe somebody had sent it as a joke or something like that, and then.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand he's maybe like this cool, calm, weird, hippie billionaire, right? But if you have just murdered someone, right, there's going to be some sort of slight trepidation.
He's going to draw attention.
Surely, like, I don't know. I just thought it was just stupid. It relies on you thinking all the characters are stupid and being stupid.
I guess the other way would be as if he knows, obviously he's just killed her, and if he makes a big deal about this detective coming on and being around her, then he's going to look suspicious when it does come out. Maybe he thought that was actually his way of getting out of it. Because if it was either it was just some coincidence or if it was a ploy, then he was like, he obviously didn't expect the sister to be dresses and all that kind of stuff.
Well, he thought it was her. So like, this is guy with such big balls that he's got a fucking Mona Lisa stolen in his mansion and like every piece of art in the world and all that. Nobody's going to be surprised if he goes, I don't want this detective here. He wasn't invited. Like, anyway, that's a minor thing. That's a very small thing of many major things that are shit about this.
But even when he has that conversation with Daniel Craig's character saying like, "Oh, someone could have done it as a joke," they just stopped and accept. I just thought that was weird that there was like, you're an uninvited guest at Sound. Let's come and take part in this murder mystery thing that I've made up. I don't know. I found this really difficult to watch. Like, with the two movies that we've been watching for this time round, there's huge differences between the two in my enjoyment. This film was shocking. The only saving grace that this film had was whiskey.
The drink you're talking about, I take it.
Oh,
the whiskey sour.
But my question is, why is Whiskey going with Edward Norton and not just sticking with Bautista and his big Bobby?
Well, he was
You realise that? He was cool with it.
Aye.
Sorry?
Aye, Bautista was basically holding about to try and get on this primetime news thing.
Yeah.
Because Bautista said to Whiskey, is like, basically do whatever he wants and I'll get this slot. So then and then you know how he's in the bushes basically watching.
Yeah.
Checking that. He's basically checking as if, because obviously the first time you see, I was thinking he's going to go and fucking kill the cunt and just like helicopter him or something, but obviously.
Helicopter him with what?
But he obviously, then you see the flashback pattern, you realise obviously that there's reasons behind. The reason is that he's basically wanting to make sure that it goes ahead and then he can get this time slot, and then he dies, unfortunately. Poor Bautista.
It's interesting that out of all the complaints we've not got it, we've not really homed in on this accent for that much this time, because it's fucking dreadful. It's hard to pay attention to what's going on in the scenes with the accent that Daniel Craig's going through. It's just so ridiculous.
You notice in the description now they just say Southern. They can't even put it to a place. Like it's annoying. Eh?
I just don't like. I get it. It's like the who done it, but I feel like it's just lazy. It's boring. It's nothing that exciting. The characters aren't even that likable. There's nobody that I really like in it.
And
what was the point of the hippie guy?
Aye, that's what I was going to say. They were trying to be funny with the stoner guy that kicked about in the background, but like, I never had a punchline.
No.
Like,
at one point, I thought he was going to be the one that shot her. Like,
see, that would have been a good wee sort of curveball. That would have happened in the first, if this was the first film with all the hype and success and air quotes that the first one had. That might have been a good curveball, but because it was just on Netflix, they gave us this money. We can basically just fucking knock a script out in half an hour and produce. That was essentially what this film felt like. We've got all this money for Netflix. How much can we pocket from ourselves with it actually spending time to develop a decent film?
You wonder how much they've paid off. Like, if you think, I'm looking at the casting now, and obviously all the people that make little cameos: Hugh Grant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Serena Williams, Ethan Hawke. What's that?
I forgot Serena Williams was in it, just basically talking.
And then it's not even that, because obviously you've got the Jeremy Renner hot sauce and the Jared Leto drink. Do you think they've actually turned down roles and just said, "In case a wee paycheck, you can use my name"?
Maybe.
Oh well, listen. Let's bring in the person that selected this movie with some rationale between why he did.
I quite enjoyed this. I think
you're trolling.
No, I'm about to come for you in just a minute. Just you sit down and come on.
I'm with you, Sean. I like it.
I think. Thanks, Craig. I think. What was I going to say? I'm not really surprised, to be honest with you, about what you guys are saying. But just like before I cut off, Kyle, when I came back in, you were talking about where the first one scored. Where did the first one score again?
It was 1.65, he said, overall.
I'm pretty sure I used my half-point score down on it, though, so it was originally scored maybe over 2.
Right. And the first one, like, nobody really enjoyed the first one, you were saying.
I gave it a 3.5. I looked back earlier. So me and you must have gave it good scores, and they three bastards just shat all over it.
I'm fairly sure that I was on my own and hating it. Or maybe me and Hunter. That was maybe where the Dunton Alliance was born, that me and Hunter didn't like it. But I definitely hated it.
I was just going to say that because it's quite bizarre. Kyle's take on this one, and he kind of slaughtered the first one as well. So what I'd done a couple of nights, because I knew that this would happen after he put in a message about the French Dispatch, and I looked up Kyle's review for the first one, and Kyle said, I actually fairly enjoyed this. It's in the easy to watch, easy to follow category. I would watch this again. So it makes me think, Kyle, are you just following Daniel and Hunter here, or to get in a trend to like what's going on here? Are you actually giving your true opinions on the film, or are you just doing this shitting it because it's my pick? Because I knew that it would play out this way. I actually see myself as Benoit in the film a wee bit here. I could shots of your review from the first one, and I'm going to throw it out, you're talking shite. So you did enjoy the first one. You're now coming and saying you didn't enjoy it, and you've been saying that for a while. So I'll come back to you after I've given my review, so you can give your true review on it. Because I don't think you're being very truthful. On the film itself, I actually quite enjoyed it. I can understand it's a film that could be full of potholes. I think that pretty much the majority of things were tied up in a way that I suppose made some kind of sense. The only thing that maybe didn't make that much sense, as you said, is why did they just let the detective on the boat? He could have just killed him and the sister when they got there. Obviously, he thought he'd killed, I can't remember her name, he thought he'd killed the sister, but he didn't. He obviously didn't stay around to watch her fucking suffocate in the car or whatever. So why didn't he just kill them at his place when they turned up? But I suppose that's the only thing you could say. But as a whole, like I liked it. I thought initially it was going towards Edward Norton's character was going to be the one that was just killed off, and then we were all going to, oh, who done it, all kind of thing. But it did kind of take a swell from there. Then you thought it was going to be Bautista who's killed him, and then it's the whole bigger picture. You find out the twist that it's actually the sister that died, and it's her twin that's turned up, and they're in it together. I quite like that, how it goes back and it kind of gives it. Well, it starts off, it plays out, and then it goes back and kind of gives you an idea of what's actually going on, and then kind of replays something. I like that, but like it's, I honestly think he's been quite harsh. Like, I think this is all right. I don't think it's fucking brilliant or amazing, but like the first one, I think it's quite an average, easy watch. I wouldn't say it's absolutely fucking awful. Like I think it was you said that, Daniel, but I think it's fine. Like for a murder mystery film, right? There's no that many kind of kicking about. There's one with Adam Sandler, or they made another one, him and Jennifer Aniston. I've not seen that. I've not seen the first one of that, so I don't even know if that's similar to this. But like, I like the concept of this, and I think that this does a good job. I don't know. I just think it's just quite good.
I was just going to say that I, like you, also quite like a murder mystery. And that's my biggest issue with this, is that I like the idea of it and the concept. I just think this is dog shit garbage. Like, the last two of them, right? Both of them rely on the fact that as a viewer, they'll show you something as a viewer, and they'll do it in a way that was just really quick. And they assume that everyone's not going to see it. So it was the same, it was a medicine bottle in the first one, I'm sure, or something like that. And it was a swap in the drinks in this one. And then later on, they go, oh, look, you missed that. But I didn't miss it. I saw it happen at the time. So, like, it fails on so many levels to do what it's supposed to do. It's like, do you know what this is like? It's like going to a really shitty escape room, and it's really fucking simple nursery rhymes, and you do it in 5 minutes, and you've spent 80 quid on it. That's the feeling this gives me of, like, dissatisfaction.
Fair play. Well, to address Sean, I prefer.
Sorry, Kyle. I couldn't understand. You were stuttering there. I'm sensing some nerves.
No, just how to word it. I prefer how we review now, because with a few films that we've had, when we've watched them initially and reviewed it straight away, you review it a lot differently until you've had time to reflect on it. So, an example, Spider-Man, Batman, the Batman with Robert Pattinson and stuff, that when you think about it a little bit later on, you let it settle, it's maybe not as good as what you think it is. And I've said for weeks now that my reviews are heavily influenced on how I'm feeling when I watch the movie at that specific time. And maybe I was in a good mood when I watched the original one. I can't remember, because I can't remember anything that really happens in it, other than that Captain America's in it. But this one was offensively bad. It was shite.
It's offensively bad. I mean, what is it that offended you about this?
It offended me, the acting, the fact that all these big names have went into this pile of pish. They've clearly not read the full script before they went into it, or they've just been paid a healthy big bag of cash to overlook what would be a terrible script.
I think offensive is a good word, because this offends the audience by assuming that you're stupid enough to go along with it. Well, like, it is quite offensive.
Sense, Daniel, is that, like, obviously you've noticed kind of things in it that have kind of led you to kind of solve the mystery, right? But I would say that the majority of people watching it wouldn't have that attention to detail that you've got. So obviously, having known you for quite a while, like that's you. If there was anybody in this chat that would notice stuff like that in a film, I would say it would be you. But if there's anybody in my friendship group, I would say it would be you that would notice something that everybody else wouldn't in a film. So I would say that this film, it's maybe not tailored to people like yourself that are very observant in that regard, that you will notice things that 99% of other people won't actually fucking notice at the time you're watching. Whereas you would actually, like myself, when they flash back to it, I'm like, oh, right, I never noticed that. And then I just watching the film, whereas you're punching fuck at your wall, I fucking seen that.
You're 100% correct. This is just no for me. And there's a reason it's popular. Like, it's very popular. I know that I'm in the minority. It just infuriates me. Like, it makes my inside of my skin feel funny, how bad it is.
Right. You've seen this, Daniel. I knew, like, Alhad was going into this with a bit of a mindset, right? Because I remember Laura texting me, like, when the film just came out. So she's texted me, this was at 16:58 on Christmas Eve. I've put the new Knives Out on. She's then replied to herself at 17:44 saying, it's rubbish, I may have to switch off.
I'm not sure why she's watching Glass Onion on Christmas Eve too. If
I know, I think that's maybe what it is. She should be putting on the Christmas film.
But you quite liked it, Bonzi.
I did. I think Sean's covered a lot of what I thought of it. To be fair, going back to what you were mentioning about Daniel Craig's accent, that really did annoy me though. I knew I was obviously getting it going on because of the first one, but I just don't understand the point in it. Like, why does he have this stupid accent? What, like, there's no difference to it. Like, it's pointless. Like, you'd understand it if there was a bit of background to his past or whatever, and you want to delve into that. But it's just basically a boy with a shite accent that he can't speak properly in. So that did annoy me.
I agree with what you're saying there, Bouncy. Like, he's British. If you want some, obviously Sherlock Holmes is probably the greatest fictional murder mystery or criminal detective ever. Why not play on that? Like, have a British detective, like, maybe it gives him that area aura, sorry, of being such a great detective, and play on that rather than giving him some sort of random Texan farmer accent.
That's not the problem with the first film though, because like they can't exactly just, they're not going to change it for this one. I would just be like, what, does accent change? You know, we're going to notice. So I knew that going in, but it still annoys you a bit.
It's definitely. I do feel like deep down, whoever wrote this in the very first script thought Matthew McConaughey was going to play that part, and that's just it. And now he's trying to do a really bad impression of Matthew McConaughey's weird southern accent. Like, because Matthew McConaughey would be great at that, wouldn't he? Because he actually sounds like that. But anyway, carry on, Bonzi.
I don't know who that is, so I can't help you.
Good movie podcast.
I would say that maybe the first, I think it was maybe 15 minutes or so of the film was, I didn't really get into that much because like the puzzle box and stuff just seemed meaningless to me. Like I didn't really understand the point in that as well. Like you could have just said, why don't you come to Greece? And then that would have been sufficient. You could have just done that instead of having those boxes going about and them all phoning each other to try and figure out how to open it. But once we went that stage, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously, as I've said earlier, it's like I didn't spot it being obvious, like obviously Daniel had done. I thought it was quite interesting sort of learning about how all the characters had a bit of a motive. So for me, it wasn't an obvious, like he was obviously the favourite throughout it, but it wasn't an obvious one for me that was going to be who was a killer. And then the flashback parts I thought were pretty good as well. What were you going to come in and say, Kyle?
I was just going to say, see the actual murder mystery that Edward Norton's character had come up with. I think that would have been a better film than what we got.
That's actually the way I thought it was going. I actually thought, like, watching the film, I thought that's the way they were going to go with it, to be fair. Like, I thought it was going to be him that did get killed at that stage, because obviously they sort of leaned on how all of them did have motives and sort of talked about their past and stuff like that, which I don't know how I feel if it would have been better. I know you're sort of half being, well, you're being serious, but you're saying it because you hate the film.
Would you
I know
see if they just had, let them play out the murder mystery, have that arrow come in, get the fake death, right? Then they go away to work out their clues, but the actual twin sister then kills them, and then they have to work out who actually killed them, and then they find out that he killed her sister. Much better movie.
Aye, there was loads of good options. It was like Vince Russo was involved in writing this, and it was just a swerve for a swerve's sake. Like, do you know what the biggest swerve is? We're going to, like, it's a murder mystery movie. The biggest swerve is we won't do the murder mystery.
My worry for this though is that there's going to be more.
Oh, I know.
Me and Sean are going to pick them too, so get it up, yes.
Honestly, you're now getting Once Upon a Time in America for the next batch of movies that we do.
And it's going to have a stupid name again, like fucking Purple Shoes or something. Like, Glass Onion, fucking Knives Out. It was just meaningless words. It's like someone's just picked two random words for the dictionary.
Just call it Knives Out Grease.
Whoever has been part of adapting this screenplay or writing it has been, I'd imagine, stoned or high or whatever, and they've went through this. See that whole thing that Daniel Craig, he's spiel about like everything being open, but there's so many layers, but you can see through the centre because it's glass. Somebody's had that discussion and then went, shit, let's call that film that.
Yeah.
That was what it came to.
It's stupid. Like everything else, stupid.
So I didn't see any main real negatives of the film, to be honest. I thought it was really enjoyable, and I was glued to it throughout, so take that.
Craig.
Sorry?
I'm just saying, me and you both.
Yeah, we're holding hands at Sean's watching it.
I love it when we get like a really good split like this, and it's almost like a fight, because this is going to be two extremes of the scores, I think, here.
You and Sean can watch it. Sean will bring the hot dogs.
I think the most impressive fact from this is the fact that Sean Field is a better detective than Benoit Blanc. That's all I can get away from this.
I've got so far I've got the episode name typed up as Kyle's Exposed.
I've got another one, but I've got simple nursery rhymes for £80.
Well, Hunter, is there any worthwhile trivia to talk about this pilot?
Right. I have not had any time to research, but I know you have the tabs open because you shared your screen before we went live.
Well, you guys, you do some final thoughts on the movie. I'll have a quick glance over this and see what there is.
Like, for me, I would say like the one aspect of the story that I did find enjoyable was the fact that the sister was dead and it was the other sister that was playing. But I did think that was a twist. But I think that was where there was a good idea, then it then got lost in the rest of the story thereon for me.
So would you have done it, Hunter? Would you have had that when you say it was a twist, but the twist actually worked, but then
it got lost in amongst the. It was, and I think it happened too early on too, so they had to they brought that in I think too early. It was obviously with the first one, it was that sort of twist came or the final whatever happened at the end of the film. Whereas this case was solved and it was still in there 20 minutes of the film. We have come Bo and Who's Up and whatever else at that point.
Yeah.
I did get a bit silly towards the end, all the explosions and all that. But how many times have we said that about loads of films? Like the ending kind of loses it. It happens so many times.
I don't think this ever had it, like to lose it.
There's a lot of films that like just kind of like just fucking after at the end.
And this one went off at the start, in the middle, and the end.
Yes, we know you hated it. We know.
But I feel like, because how you felt about, like, we mentioned French Dispatch. Like, remember how much you hated that?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this. And I came on here thinking I might even give it nearly a 1, but it's gone far down. I'm fucking fuming now.
Wow. This is a fucking light years better than French.
But see, the problem is, like, I gave the French Dispatch a 1 because of how they managed to convince such a high esteem level of cast to sign up to that show. I feel like that's the benchmark. Like, I could never score anything less than a 1 ever again. Well,
I'm just looking at some of the trivia. There's nothing that exciting. There's a part of trivia about this says that the three main stars, Daniel Craig, Hudson, and Bautista, wanted to stay at a hotel, but then never got to stay there because they wanted the studio to pay the $2,000 a night fee for the hotel each, and were told to bolt. It says here that one of the paintings on Miles' bronze living room is Ed Norton's head on Brad Pitt's body from Fight Club.
I did notice that. I was like, that's the scene for Fight Club when I see it in the back.
Which is like a cracking bod. Ryan Johnson, the director, had stated that he briefly considered a running joke of having Daniel Craig play Benoit Blanc with a different accent in each film without any explanation at all.
But I could have just gave him his own accent.
Yeah.
I'd have a different accent. No, just don't speak
Let the
normally.
guy speak.
Yeah, it says that Daniel Craig had been working with a dialect coach to be familiar with the distinctive New Orleans accent.
It's a bad coach.
And there's just loads of other pish. I'm not reading that. Let's get to scoring and let's get this one over and done with. Sean, we'll come to you first.
I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5.
You're at it just because we hated it. That's not your true feelings.
That's my true feelings.
That's not your true feelings.
A 4 out of 5, and I will not hear anything else on that. Okay, 4 out of 5.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a 2.7. But I'm starting to side with Instagram now.
4 out of 5. Move on.
Instagram, to be fair, before we move on, Instagram blew up a little bit about your One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Sean.
I never even bothered to read any of them.
There's a couple of belters in there. I've got up here to say S. Friel gives me a fucking aneurysm every time you all post. Besides him, though, I'm glad the rest of you like it.
I'm going to back up Sean here. It's like some of the Instagram folk need to get
So I think the folk on Instagram now get it. See some of the regular commenters, they get it and they're playing along and having a laugh. Like that guy, that Baj Blockhead Movies always has a go at the bottom. He's playing along. He sends us messages and that. So they're no like, oh, weirdos. They're just slagging us off.
The thing is, in that context, Daniel, as you're saying, Sean scored this a 4. The guy who was slating Sean for his score the last couple of weeks is not coming on whenever this gets posted up saying, why the fuck have you scored that a 4? There's no way to be seen. The number's not low enough. It doesn't set off something in his mind to say, I've bitten, let's fucking rise to it. He's just not giving a fuck.
My number's definitely going to be low enough.
There's another one here that says extremely rare S. Friel W. I know you like those types of things, Sean.
Fucking grow up, man.
It then follows it by saying, I cannot stand his awful takes on every single post, but for once he's right. This movie's awful. And then it goes out.
On Instagrams, I don't know what the fuck he's looking at.
S. Friel is a colossal fat L machine. Burns, I think it's only right we come to you for your score next.
Right. Our alliance is strong, Sean. I'm also giving it a 4.
You definitely watched this, and it was more than hands being shook after it.
Well, I'll go give my score before the other two give it then, so I don't get accused of just copying them. I'll probably be scoring it slightly higher, and then due to whiskey, we'll give it a 1. I did have a look at the other movies that have been scored around that 1, and I'm like, I'd definitely watch Pokemon Detective Pikachu over this.
Oh, yeah.
I'd watch the Boondock Saints over this.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about that. That film was...
laugh. At least that's funny. Like, so bad it's funny.
There's other movies down here that, like The Hobbit, that was shite, but I'd watch that again. I would watch Justice League. Shouldn't be down there anyway. And maybe not watch Fear and Loathing. Maybe not Fear and Loathing, but yeah, I'd watch Fantasia.
Oh, aye.
Right, Hunter?
I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Oh,
yes.
And Daniel?
0.25.
Oh, fucking come on now. This is silly. Like having fun, guys. Fucking hell.
If we were basing this off of Daniel's score alone, it would be the second bottom movie we ever had. This would be below The French Dispatch.
If you base
I
it
gave that a similar score. I'm sure I gave the French Dispatch a 0 or a 0.25. This is in that category for me.
Barnesy, what does that do to the overall scoring?
2.15.
2.15. So let's see what we've got that in the company of.
Oh.
So this movie is
Hey,
better
hi.
than The Crow,
Uh-huh.
Back to
My
the
God.
Future Part 2. It's better than 300.
Yes, for definite, that's garbage.
Us. And it's just slightly below Girls Trip.
Oh, Girls Trip was really bad as well.
But it's in
I'm
the same company with
sure
movies like...
that as well.
That was the stage pick.
This is in the
No,
company alongside Hotel Rwanda, the Old Boy, American Gangster, the scary movie that I can't say properly, so I'm not going to say the name. That'll be The Conjuring.
Oh, I thought it
You
was the
got
other
it.
one.
Nailed it.
Got that one.
Hereditary, you were going to say.
that can get in the bin. No, even
Prometheus or something like that. That's what I thought was coming.
I kept, was it Hereditary? Right. Anyway, guys, that brings us to the end of this one. It's been a polarizing review from us once again. Let's see what your thoughts are through our Instagram. If you have liked listening to us rabbit on, argue and talk over each other this last 40 minutes or whatever it is you've been listening to, we'd love if you could give us a little like and a little 5-star rating. We need to get those ratings put into Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening. But if you could, that would be great. And us morons will bid you farewell.
Oh, I can calm down now. It's over with.
Sorry you don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.